we have the first woman Nassau County executive. That is exciting.
Tonight, Nassau voted to end the culture of corruption.
Today's Chapter Network and Chapter's Community Support Services nonprofit program with Laura Curran has been changed to Friday, July 2nd at 2:30, when we will have an exclusive opportunity to thank Nassau County Executive Laura Curran for her outstanding leadership over the last 3 years. Under her leadership and administration, she's been able to clean up corruption, establish real fiscal responsibility, and provide the quality public services that Nassau's 1.3 million residents expect. As the first woman ever elected to this role, she's prioritized bringing more voices to the table, working in tandem with all of Nassau's diverse communities, making Nassau County, New York stronger. Please join us in celebrating the amazing career of Laura Curran on the Chapters Wrap, where unity and diversity meet one chapter at a time. Together, we will continue to provide edutainment as we fully support Nassau County Executive Laura Curran in her efforts for re-election. That's the Chapters Network, live stream July 2nd at 2:30 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, and on Mondays on Optimum Cable, channel 115 at 10 p.m. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. In our next segment of Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb, with author Stephanie McPhail and psychologist Steve Vaccaro, this week's special guest is Sir Duke Uganze, president and founder of Genius Gives Foundation, which helps those affected by mental illness. Duke's goal is to end the silence and eradicate the stigma around mental health by educating the community on the staggering number of people who silently battle with misdiagnosed and untreated mental issues.
Beautiful people, top design.
What's up, Steve?
Hey, Stephanie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. And, it's summertime now.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Texas. I think I have a whole different view of summertime than I did in Long Island. That's for sure.
Really? So I hope you got some cold water and ice ready to go there in Texas. Your first summer outside of New York, right?
Well, I mean, technically it's my second, but this is the first summer where like the COVID restrictions are not going to keep us from doing everything. And of course, last summer we moved to Texas, and about 3 weeks later, my husband got sick. So there was not much spending time and figuring things out. So this year we get to actually see what it's really like without all the other noise in the way.
Well, this is a special show then, because your husband was sick and he recuperated. He's doing very well. But the gentleman that's coming on our show was a big part of that, right?
Yeah, it was my friends that live locally. They're like, you know more people now in Texas than we do. And, we basically moved here, and the only people we got to have any type of relationship with was people at the hospital. And we had some amazing doctors on our team, some amazing nurses, and Duke was actually in the urgent care that my husband was in. And so it was on Halloween that I came to visit. He wasn't his nurse at that point, but I came in Halloween dressed up as Captain America. And he was like, oh, look at that. Perfect segue. But yeah, came in dressed as Captain America. And he was like, oh, you look like you want to be somewhere else. And I'm like, hey, if I can bring joy to people, like, let's just make this happen. And so we kind of hit it off right away. And then he was David's nurse later on when he switched floors, and he was able to get to hang out with him and get to know him a little bit better. So Duke's a good guy. We're really excited for him to come on today and have all of you meet him.
Yeah, I got to know him the last couple of weeks. He's an amazing guy, and he's giving back in such a big way. And I can't wait to bring him on to the screen here. But this is Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail. I'm Steve Vaccaro. We're here every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's our network. And we got Carmine behind the scenes here doing another great job as our engineer and producer. leading the way here in what we do. So Carmine, thank you so very much. And thank you for all the viewers for watching. You could choose to do anything, but you're choosing to watch our show here tonight. So thank you so very much. And we have some current events, things coming up that we have to rattle off. Our program, our network, Chapters Community Support Services, and our network is at Arts in the Plaza every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Long Beach. And we are a musical presence, but we're also connecting with our nonprofit organization with so many people that come in and out of there. There's a lot of traffic, and we've been networking and meeting new people, and they will be on our network in some capacity in the days ahead. We'll be there through Labor Day. So it's at the beach. And now Bad Boy is going to be performing there August 7th, which is a Saturday, 11 a.m. is coming to Arts in the Plaza. And Carmine, who's our engineer, plays Little Ray. So he does a great job with that. And I know, actually, Stephanie, you're going to be in New York, I heard, during that time.
I am. I'm going to be coming to New York in August. And so we've got some fun things planned for my trip when I come out.
Yeah, I got some things planned for you. So keep your docket open. I'm your Uber driver. We'll be doing shows together again for over a year and a half. Well, we have another special cause that's going on July 15th, Under the Stars. And it's the Olive Osmond Hearing Fund Foundation at the Stewart Manor Country Club. We'll be doing a live show from there because hearing aids cost over $8,000 for young people. And there's a lot of families that can't afford that. So this is a fundraiser that's going to generate some funds for people that are hearing impaired that need those hearing aids in a big way. So we want to thank the Osmonds, Justin Osmond, for supporting that cause. And it's a great event. If you want to know more about it, just track us down here on my Facebook page, or you can contact me at 516-476-6271. Kenny Cowie, who will be a future guest on our show. He's the inspirational entertainer. He's a certified engineer healer. Rick A. Master, a well-being guide. You can contact him at that number, and that's his email. He's a great guy. He's also on Bat Boy, and he does wonderful work for the community. So we're so very thankful. And Colleen Farquhar is starting Crystal Sound Bath this Saturday on Long Island. It's only $25, 631-412-3605. And she will start her new practice, her new sound therapy in Lindenhurst on Saturday. She was a guest of my show last night. You got to check that out, the Chapters Rap Live. And we're having a birthday bash and a summer party with the Chapters Rap All-Star Band. Please bring canned goods for families in need. Urgently, they need food. So it just happens to be on my birthday, and I think I'm turning like 40 or 41 or something like that. I can't remember. I have to check my driver's license, but I know I'm younger than Stephanie.
If you're 40, you didn't age well. No offense.
Wow. Well, Stephanie, why you have to stop laughing before we continue this show, okay? So
wait, but I have a question for you. Have you ever done a crystal sound bath? If you haven't, go do that. Because anyone watching that crystal sound bath thing, that is so cool. You want to feel like I felt in like reverberations through my chest and my extremities. Like that is a cool experience. If you haven't done that, go and do that.
Wow. And she's going to be a future guest for us because she's dying to meet you. I've known her for a couple of years. She's had enough of me, but she's dying to meet you. She's got a beautiful family, and you guys could probably connect in a big way.
Sure. Yeah, we've got some similar interests, I can tell. So go check that out, Steve.
Yeah, I definitely will. Every time you give me advice, I kind of take advantage of that because it's coming from a great source. You're usually right. I don't like to say that too much.
Well, thank you.
Right, and you do good work. There you go. There you go. But you want to play a little game here, Steph?
Sure. I'm always up for a game. I'm always up for fun.
I know you're in Texas, but we got a little thing called New York Minute. So let's play a little New York Minute here with Stephanie McPhail in a moment. All right, so you ready to play?
I'm a little nervous.
Okay, well, it's just 3 easy questions.
Okay.
And you can answer, and people play along at home, and we'll see how Stephanie does. So, come on, we have 3, so put up that first one. Okay, Stephanie, so how do you fold towels? That way, or that way?
Probably like number one.
Number one, really?
Yeah. Oh, what does this mean? Are you going to psychoanalyze me? Does this mean something terrible? I think I go between number 1 and 2, depending on what type of towel it is. If it's a big beach towel, maybe number 2, but like a bathroom towel, number 1.
Okay, number 1. Okay, so now you get a little nervous. You named all 3 towels, so I don't know. We'll go with it. Okay, best chocolate bar ever.
I'm going to go, this is tough, because Snickers and Reese's are both pretty darn good.
So, Stephanie, obviously you have a hard time making decisions, don't you?
Well, I picked 2 right away. Like they're both, there's 2 there. I would say Reese's are probably my favorite. I love peanut butter.
Okay, all right. So far, so good. You're doing okay. And the last one, get ready. Here we go. General Mills hires you, and you have to decide which one to eliminate from Chex Mix.
The rye chip. Rye chip. Get out of here, rye chip.
You don't like the rye chip?
Ugh. Blah. That was easy.
That's my favorite one.
Ugh, get it out of there. Hey, talking about favorite things, I used to love Skittles, and they took out the green, used to be lime, because they said people didn't like it. That was my favorite flavor. Now I won't buy Skittles anymore because I hate the apple.
Wow. And, back in the day, M&Ms, people like to eat the green M&Ms. I don't know what that's all about, but that's for another show. Actually, that would fit nicely in our show in a couple of weeks.
It would. It definitely would.
Yeah, because we kick Unhealthy Relationships to the curb, and you did very well, actually. I'm going to analyze you and give you results at the end of the show.
I have to wait that long?
You got to wait that long. We have a whole show to do, but we're going to do one more thing because we had a new segment, Family Feud, and we had a moment last week. And do you like porcupines?
Oh, they're cute. They need love too.
Yeah? You like porcupines? Okay, so let's check out this moment with Steve Harvey. It's kind of funny because it's good to laugh. We need to laugh. Let's check it out.
Point values have doubled. Here we go. Top 6 answers are on the board. Name something that follows the word pork.
Loin!
Huh?
Loin! Pork loin! L-I-O-N, loin!
Oh.
Pork loin!
Glad you spelled it. The hell is a pork lawn? I thought you said lawn like the grass outside. I was going, what the hell is a pork lawn? Lawn! Looking for the pork loin. Joe?
Pork belly.
Pork belly. We gonna play? We gonna play.
What down?
Name something that follows the word pork.
You pine.
Huh?
Huh? You pine. Porcupine.
That's my turn. Yes, lunatic.
Pork. He said cupine. Cupine. What? What is cupine? This is the greatest answer I've ever heard. I feel you. It's number 1.
Oh, my mama.
Oh, pow. It's number 1. Oh, really? Well, I tell you what, it's going to be number 1 on YouTube, but it ain't going to be number 1 on I bet every dollar I got. You the only person that said cupine. Cupine!
That's great stuff, right?
I was hoping she'd get at least 1 because, it makes sense. Porcupine. I give it to her.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was pretty funny. You know, Steve Harvey does a great job, and we need to laugh, and so we just added that into our little skit that we do. So hope you guys like a little Steve Harvey and Family Feud. But let's get to our guest. He's very meaningful in your life. Obviously, he was there for your husband. Again, people just tuning in. Why don't you segue him into our show?
So today on Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb, we're actually going to be interviewing Duke. And Duke was in the ICU after my husband came out of after having surgery, and then he was actually his nurse when he changed floors after he was starting to get better. And I just remember, you know, my husband being so stuck and lost and just feeling so terrible, and being able to speak to someone who really wanted to listen and was open to having a conversation and be supportive to him was exactly what he needed at that point to really help his mood. So, you know, forever grateful for everything that he did, but also just being, you know, there for him and being someone that he could talk to during that time.
That's great. Before we bring him on, he put together a little video about mental health and the advocacy and the empowerment that's needed at this point in time. Let's roll that, and then we'll bring on Duke.
What's up, you guys? King Duke here once again, and I want to wish you guys all a happy World Mental Health Day. I know we've been going through a lot, and 2020 has been crazy, but needless to say, man, you guys keep your head up, man. Sending much love from this side of the world. Wherever you're at, man, just know that someone loves you, someone cares. We care too, and here's a little message for some of my friends out here. You take care.
Happy World Mental Health Day.
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 World Mental Health Day.
Happy World Mental Health Day.
Happy World Mental Health Day. Please.
Happy World Mental Health Day. Happy World Mental Health Day.
Happy World Mental Health Day. Happy World Mental Health Day.
Happy World Mental Health Day.
Happy World Mental Health Day.
Happy World Mental Health Day.
Feliz Día de la Salud Mental.
Happy World Mental Health Day.
Oh.
Hey, he's here. What's up, Duke?
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
You are the man, Duke. You are the man. Welcome to Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb. You know Stephanie. You kind of know me now. So,
Yes,
man,
sir.
you're doing some great things. First of all, you helped out Stephanie's husband.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, I appreciate you guys for letting me come on your show. You guys are doing an amazing job. I love the energy. That's what the world needs. But definitely meeting Stephanie's husband was just, I mean, it definitely was one of those moments where you meet someone as like a soulmate, you know, and we kicked it. He has so much life in him, even though he was going through a rough time. And definitely, as much as I may have helped him, he also kind of brought some, like, got me cheered me up and got me a little bit more motivated to make it through those months during the pandemic. So,
That's awesome.
Duke, talk about his determination to get well and to be back with his family, and also what was your observations about the love between Stephanie and her husband?
oh well, one thing that I really admired about him is that he was okay with expressing really how he was feeling at the moment. I mean, he was a lot of teetering on the brink of death is not something that's easy to comprehend, especially if you've never been there. And he definitely was there on multiple occasions, and he was comfortable enough with me to share his true feelings and fears and concerns. And that on its own made me, I was honored that he saw a confidant in me to even share those thoughts because I know how it could be as a patient in the hospital. You don't know people. You don't really want to talk much. You want to be around familiar faces like your family and friends to be able to express yourself that way. And he, off the top, was able to tell me how he felt. So me and him were able to talk. We spoke. I came in there just for a visit. I was taking care of him, but then I ended up staying in there for almost 3 hours. We were just talking, and it kind of got him back into. I could see him livening up as we discussed, and things he would tell me, his thought process, how he was trying to understand what he was going through, and thinking about his wife and everything was just phenomenal. So I kept on. I kept digging deeper and falling in love with who he was as a person and what he was going through and how he was overcoming it. So it really helped me in a lot of ways, and I was happy to be a part of that. As far as Stephanie, she came in there like a not a I don't want to say a bull in a china shop, but like a superhero. There you go. Yeah, she came like while we were doing what we were doing. She definitely came in. You could tell she had things under control. As much as things were definitely stressing her because she was at home taking care of her kids and the business and her own personal well-being about the fears of possibly losing her husband. She came in there and was still keeping him, consoling him and bringing him comfort and just talking him through things and keeping him motivated to stay positive, which was a very important thing because it's easy to start to sink into a sad place when you see obvious negativity around you and you don't have words of encouragement to push you forward. So she came in and it was just I just loved to watch her talk and interact. And then when me and her started talking, I could see how the two of them complemented each other very well. She's an amazing woman, and I'm not trying to say that because I'm on your show. Like I've told her that before we even came on here. And I'm sure you, Steve, you know her very well and how amazing she is as an individual. So it definitely was an experience I'll never forget.
Wow, Stephanie, what do you think?
I'm tearing up. I'm like, oh, thank you. Like I appreciate it.
You know what it is? Because in this day and age, there's so much hurt and negativity and so much divisiveness. When you see a story unfold like this, you know, it's a beautiful. And he said it best. You know, he was fighting for his life. And Stephanie, you brought your family. You and Dave brought your family to Texas, and this all happened. And then you ran into this Earth Angel over here, and amazing. I mean, what were your thoughts back then?
For me, I mean, I just remember meeting Duke, and David was like, "Oh, you're gonna love Duke." And I walked in, I'm like, "Oh, you were the guy that was in the what's it called? The urgent, not the urgent care. What's it called?
The ICU.
Yeah, the ICU. So it was like this was the guy in the ICU, and so right away I was like, yeah, I liked him right away. He put off such a great energy, and when I talked to other nurses, there was no one that could say anything bad about Duke. Like he is just the type of guy that he comes in and he just has a presence, and to have again someone to know that you just feel comfortable and safe with, and you hit it off right away. Not something that you would expect. I mean, David and I even said when we were in the hospital, like, we didn't expect to meet someone that we thought was really cool in a hospital. Like, it was like, not what we were. We were like, oh, let's go get sick and go to the hospital to meet people. Like, it was just, right. But it was so great to have that and that normalcy of like, hey, we would talk outside of this place. We would be friends outside of this place.
Yes.
Wow. And Stephanie, was there any moment that you lost faith? I mean, what gave you the strength day in and day out? You have 2 young children. I mean, you see your husband struggling and in the hospital setting during this pandemic is not where you want to be. But what gave you the strength to pursue and motivate your husband?
Just the saying that I say to myself, or that whenever I've had to go through obstacles, is this too shall pass. This was, when I would have the moments of like, hey, something could happen. It was, let's live now. Let's be now. Let's not get to any dark places. And, I have to say too, another person that we just had an amazing relationship with was one of the surgeons on David's team who's very, Dr. Stevenson, who we're now also very good friends with. And she loves Duke as well. And, she was no holds bar. Like, she would say exactly what it was, what's going on. So I didn't have to try to guess. It was like, let me tell you the worst of it. Let me tell you what the expectations are. And so, and I mean, to have to at one point ask, like, is my husband going to die? And the fact that she had to hesitate, she really thought about what she said. And she said, well, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But I don't have a plan on him not making it. And I said, okay, just so that I know, and it was just like, let me just hear it. I needed to hear everything and I needed to know what was going on, what the plan was, what the next step was, to be able to keep, like, if we can just get to this next step, I know that we can get to where we need to be. So it was really, really finding joy and celebrating the little seemingly unimportant, monumental steps forward that became the bigger steps that finally allowed him to come home and be back with us.
Wow. That's incredible. This is Kick on Healthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail. I'm Steve Vaccaro, and then we have Sir Duke here. And tell people, Duke, what you do for a living, and during this pandemic, how challenging it was for you with all the patients that came and went.
Oh, so that's an interesting question, because I have a couple of things I do, but my career, my day job, academically speaking, I'm an ICU nurse. I work ICU. I've worked all specialties from neuro to cardiovascular to medical surgical. I medical ICU, and now surgical ICUs where I met Stephanie, and I've been doing this since 2013. Worked in some of the most amazing hospitals, Texas Medical Center, one of the biggest, largest medical center in the world. And I learned a lot. And obviously during the pandemic, nurses were in dire need. A lot of hospitals were overwhelmed with people struggling with the COVID-19 virus infection. So really the challenge was safely going into these facilities and helping alleviate or lighten the load on these hospitals that were trying to treat these people and get them better. That's really what I've been doing.
The work, you must have seen so many things, adversity. I can imagine. I mean, did you or your staff lose morale at one time during the pandemic?
Definitely. I wouldn't say lose morale. Sometimes things just seem kind of, I don't say bleak. They just seemed kind of unclear. And with, everybody, so many great minds around the world are trying to figure out how to deal with this pandemic and get everybody back to a normal way of life. But unfortunately, this virus caught us off guard. Our preparedness for dealing with something like this was completely not set up. So we had to be as resilient as we could and just do what we were capable of doing. For me personally, you asked earlier, one of the big challenges for me is I lost my uncle to the virus when it first started. He lived in London, UK. And then my younger uncle also contracted in Houston, and he was hospitalized. He became very ill, went into DIC, which was at that time usually the last stage before someone passed away. Luckily for us, with the grace of God, he was able to fight through, got better. He's still with us, though he's still on a recovery journey of his own. But so I was struggling with going into the hospitals again, because at that time I was in California, and through all of that I didn't know what to do. But then it did dawn on me that my father inspired me to help people, because he's a retired pharmacist, and I knew this is a once in a generation type of event. And I had the skill set to help the world in some aspect. And it's just like if we were in war and I was a soldier and I didn't go jump in the plane and follow my troops to go and help fight for my country. I just felt like it was eating at me just to go ahead and see how I can help. So came back from California, and a friend called me, told me that this agency needed some help. Angel Staffing, amazing agency, and they made things possible for me to be able to actually safely go and start working in the hospital and helping. And from there, I decided to just kind of dig deep and just black out everything about my life and focus on this pandemic and how I can put all my energy into it, especially since we weren't able to do anything. Let me see how I can learn from what's going on and help as many lives as possible until we got out of the red zone.
So, Duke, do you think you consider yourself being a proactive or reactive kind of guy?
I would say that I'm proactive. The thing is, I think too much. That's one thing I would say is a problem. My dad, I get that from my dad. I analyze things so much to the point where it may seem as if I'm not making a move. But the key thing is that I want to make the right move. I believe that in life you should, if you're going to make any move, let it be one of progress. It does us no good to move left and right if you're trying to get to a goal, attain something. Doesn't matter how slow, just so far I'm making progressive steps toward attaining my goal. So I learned that sometimes it's better to sit and wait, analyze what you're doing, think about what you're doing, and make the best calculated step so that every move is a good move.
I kind of like that. I'm sorry, Steph, because I'm a country music guy, and there's a song out there, there's a lyric, I'm going to take it slow just as fast as I can. So, I mean, we don't have to rush through things. And I think if you methodically think about things, I don't know if you could overanalyze. What do you think, Stephanie?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, sometimes there is, the trying to be perfect and figure out the too far ahead, then we just stay frozen. So like for me, and David and I kind of joke about this, I just, like you said, bull in a China store, like that almost really is me. Like I just go, I just do the things. And sometimes it comes out great and sometimes it's a flop, but I did it. I accomplished the thing, so, but then then I do it again and I do it a little bit better. And I just kind of go, and not that I don't analyze all the possibilities. I do think of those things, but I'm very much a doer. So as soon as I get something stuck in my head, I just have to do it and get it over with.
I will say that that thought process, I do admire it a lot. I'm not sure, Steve, if you're like that as well, but for me, growing up, my parents have always been very cautious individuals, being foreigners. They're both from Nigeria, so they always want to make sure you make the smartest decision. And that, like you said, Stephanie, on some aspects, that's a good way to live life. But when you're trying to do something that's never been done before, unfortunately, you can't sit down and analyze, because what are you analyzing? You don't know. There's no proven outcome of if you do it this way. This is always, majority of the time, this is how it's always going to turn out. So sometimes you have to just think about what you think is the best, most capable way of you accomplishing this, and then go in. Mm-hmm. And don't feel bad about what the outcome is, but try your best as you're trying to achieve that to do things as sensibly as possible. When you get to the end, like you said, sometimes it may not come out the way you want, but at least you did it. And now you have a blueprint to say, okay, I did it this way and it didn't work. Let me try it a different way.
Mm-hmm. And I love, and most of you don't know this. So Duke you were not born in America. So tell us about that. Cause I think it's the fact, like your upbringing, how you got to this point is different. Can you share with us like what your upbringing is like?
So I will correct you on that. I was born in America, but I left when I was 12 years old. I was a very hard-headed kid, and luckily for me, I have a large family. My mom has 9 brothers and sisters. My dad had 7 brothers and sisters. And my mom's side, they're spread across the globe. So when I was 12, I left the country, and my parents moved me around with my different relatives. Most of the time I was in Nigeria. I went out there, I lived there for a while. I bounced to other countries as well, but I was in Nigeria majority for about 6 years, from the age of 12 to like 18. And in that time, obviously, a 12-year-old who grew up in America, loves everything, have my own ideology of what the world is like. I got the opportunity to go and learn how the world looks at us from the other side of things, and what's reported in the news versus what's actually going on in certain places. I really got a chance to assimilate with these cultures, living in the different places I did, and to say the least, I do appreciate my parents for giving me that learning lesson. Taught me to appreciate my country, America, the opportunities we have here, things that we all take for granted that we think are basic, like running water, electricity, paved roads, access to public transportation. I could go on and on. Even though I found a lot of love and peace and happiness when I was out overseas, a lot of pressures of, the modern world weren't on me. It was still a learning process for me to appreciate the place wherever I'm at in life at any moment. That's really what I learned from being sent overseas. So that was kind of my upbringing. And then when I was 18, I came back. Then I moved moved to Houston. And from there, I decided my journey as a nurse, a pharmacist, then became a nurse eventually.
A pharmacist. Okay, so wow. So you have been busy, young man.
I didn't finish pharmacy school, but I started because I looked up to my dad. And then as I started to learn more, and you go to counselors in college, and I started to learn about different types of careers, then I found out all the capabilities, that the flexibility of a lifestyle I had with being a nurse, and all the different areas I could get expertise in. I was like, I prefer that over pharmacy, which is just learning about your drugs and how to treat people. That's a beautiful career. But I felt nursing gave me the opportunity. I like to learn what it is that I like to be as proficient as possible in anything that I do. And I felt like nursing, with all the different fields like neurology, cardiovascular, the medical, the surgical, the transplant, you have PACU, you have oncology, you got hospice. I felt like, wow, that right there could keep me engaged in my career for the foreseeable future, and it has been.
I know you mentioned your father a couple of times. Who inspires you?
Steve, you do.
You too?
When we first talked on the phone, I spoke for like 10 minutes. I couldn't breathe because I was speaking so much. I didn't know if you were listening to me. Then you said, man, you're dope. I was like, yeah, I connected with this guy. You connected with me. So we're like friends for life now.
Hey, for life. It's just like after David is you as best friend. Well, I guess it'll be David, Stephanie, then you.
All right, I'll take number 3. I love Sloppy Joes.
No, but honestly, my dad was a very big influence. I mean, from a little boy's perspective, seeing my dad and seeing how he helped make sure when he had his own pharmacy, he would take me to the pharmacy with him, and I saw how he interacted with the clients as they came in and got their meds. He'd always, for those that came on a regular basis, he knew them to the point where he would make sure that the medication that they're being prescribed was actually doing what it was supposed to do. So that in his turn made me want to help, because I felt like that is a direct way to impact the world. The medical world it's not one of these things where, I want to design something and this thing will help the world. Yeah, there's a place for that. But in the meantime, there are several ways we can help people. And I like to see my efforts directly impact someone. I don't want to have to go through an avenue, or I don't want to have to donate to this charity with the hopes that they give the money to them. No, I want to be a part of that change and want to know that at least I was able to bring some light into the life,
And good, Steph.
Well, I was going to say, so like you do nursing, but you also have a nonprofit, and that was one of the things that we even connected on when we were at the hospital, is that your nonprofit having to do with mental health awareness and being someone who's a certified crisis counselor and who does coaching, and Steve obviously as a psychotherapist. Mental health is something near and dear to our hearts, and one of the things I remember as a crisis counselor, just understanding like how much of a lack there is, even when I was in education, how much of a lack there is in mental health, proper diagnosis, proper support. I mean, one of the most expensive things you can do is go for therapy. You're like, oh, how much am I going to pay? Oh, I don't need any help. I'm good. So like, what got you interested in your nonprofit and what you do?
Man, first off, man, before I even forget, like I admire both of you guys, what you're doing. It's an area of life that it hurts to think about how many people struggle with it, and yet they're just so uneducated about how many people there are like you guys that are ready and eager and willing to help if they can get to them, but that window is not there. But for me, like you said, growing up, not only overseas, but in the neighborhood I grew up, it wasn't like the best, most proficient neighborhood. I mean, the most profound neighborhood. It was a hood to say the most. And there's a lot of, you see a lot of activity, and growing up in that environment, you don't think much of it. But it wasn't until I really went to nursing school and was going through my classes, and I got to my psych class. At that moment, I have a lovely sister, my immediate younger sister. She had a bipolar episode. She had an episode, and I was studying it as she was going through it, right? So I really wasn't believing it, but what my parents were telling me what was going on with her was matching word for word for what our textbooks were saying. And I was also going through rotations into the different wards and the different psych facilities. And it just dawned on me. And then I was just like, what they were telling me was going on with her. And I was like, why aren't they helping her? And like, why are they sending her to, why are they sending her to jail versus figuring out how to get her balanced? And I just started to think about it. And I think I told you, Stephanie, I mean, me and my brother, I told my brother when I was younger, I want to do something for the world. I don't know what it was. I wanted to start a foundation. I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't until that moment, and obviously maybe because I hit home, but still, it wasn't until that moment I was like, there's a lot of people I know just like her. Mm-hmm. You always think it won't happen to you, or it's not my family, it's everybody else's family. But no, I know a lot of people. Then I started backtracking through my life, all the areas I grew up in, even overseas, and people are so stressed out, and they're going through so much, and to the point where it seems to them like it's normal. It seems like this is how I'm supposed to be. Even the world has made them feel like you shouldn't feel anything but functional if you function through that. And I was like, no, they could be so much more productive to this world if they got the help. Maybe even whether it's therapy, whether it's medicine, whether it's meditation, art, whatever type of therapy it is, you could be so much better. And then I sat down, and my baby sister, I love her to death, Neko Yanze. Hopefully you guys can have her on the show. But I told her what I wanted to do, and she didn't even question it twice. She's like, let's do it. And I was like, I don't know how to start a foundation, but I know I want to give back. So we said, let's go. What do we do? I said, everybody thinks they're smart. Everybody thinks that, we all think we're geniuses in some way. But the true geniuses, to me, they give back in some way. And that's kind of how the whole Genius Gives Foundation, the name, came about. Got with some other friends, and then we just started doing little events like back to school drives for kids that didn't have money, that the parents couldn't afford to buy uniforms or school supplies. That went well, and the city accepted that. Then we did a mental health event that on its own too was kind of to break the stigma surrounding talking about mental illness, because people, it's one thing to say, oh, someone has bipolar, or someone is schizophrenic, or someone is manic depressant or whatever. But being able to open your mouth to tell somebody, I don't feel good, The same way we can open our mouth and say, oh, my diabetes is acting up, or my gout is acting up, or I have a headache. They're all the same things. There's a certain type of treatment you can use to help resolve that issue, but we have to get used to comfortable with or feeling safe enough to talk to someone and not being condemned about bringing it up. So that's really what brought me into the whole mental health realm.
And I love that too, especially, you know, I don't know the exact statistics off the top of my head, but there definitely is a difference with when it comes to, first of all, mental health, number one, then people of color and mental health, and then male people of color with mental health. And so, like, specifically what you're doing, I think bringing a normalcy to it, bringing a, like, let's talk about it. Let me show you that it's okay to be sad. You know, because I think men are taught how to be like, how to show emotion is to show anger. Let me throw things. Let me get angry. Let me lose my temper. But men in general, they're just not taught how to be expressive. Like, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? There's something, you know, like they're men, I think, and you, obviously you are the guy, so tell me, but like, they're not told how to express themselves in a productive way. So then it all builds up and then it comes across as anger instead of just saying like, hey, I'm having a tough time. I don't know what to do. I need help.
Listen, Stephanie, again, what I said earlier, that's why for me, it was really a spiritual moment for me in a sense when I met Dave, because again, there's a lot of things I've met a lot of patients in my career, and a lot of them, they're in pain. They don't want to say anything. They're sweating. Heart rate is through the roof. You know, blood pressure is, you know, out of order. And I'm asking you, are you hurting? Are you in pain? And because of their culture, sometimes it's not okay to say that you're hurting as a man. And it wasn't until I learned and read up on all this that I found out. And it's like, I would have to figure out ways to convince someone to just tell me you're hurting so I can give you medicine, which is why you're in the hospital in the first place. So for me to have walked into the room and David was so in tune with himself or felt comfortable enough to tell me exactly how he was feeling, his fears and his concerns, and we were able to share that moment. It let me know that if we can get more men, and the point you made, more men to be okay with saying, I'm angry right now. This girl broke my heart. I don't know how to express this, not going and meeting another girl and trying to hurt her, but express how I really want to stay with this girl if that's the case, or make it up to her, or just get over the situation in a healthy process. Little things like that for me is what I feel we lack. And that's just one minute area of the entire spectrum of what mental health is, you know. And I'm sure you guys know that, so I don't know why.
No, coming from you, it means a lot, because having a male guest and talking about it's okay to express your feelings, that's what it's all about, because this show is not designed just for women. It's designed for all kinds of relationships. And the quicker we could break down those barriers, those stereotypes for men in general, but also to talk about those feelings, because without having that happen, it's going to be bottled up. It's going to lead to anger. It's going to lead to all kinds of things that are very, very negative. So I appreciate you for coming on. And what's one goal in your journey from this point on? What would you like to achieve?
Moving forward from this point on, I want to be able to make sure I continue to foster the right relationships, all with the goal of helping to break that stigma surrounding mental health. I know I am not, that's not my expertise. That is like you and Stephanie, you guys went to school, you have your degrees, you have your certificates, your training and extensive experience. So my thing is to partner up with people like you and continue to build, whether it's a unit or some sort of community where people can feel safe for whatever angle, from whatever way of getting help for what it is that they're dealing with mental health wise.
Right. And Duke, I mean, this country is divided for so many reasons, right? It's divided. How do we unify it? How do we heal? How do we get past some of this stuff right now to achieve greater things and as one? Because I think a show like this and what you're talking about is needed at this point in time. But how do you go about doing that at first?
I personally feel first and foremost, you have to learn to be to forgive yourself and to forgive those that have hurt you, which is a very hard process. Because if you haven't done that, being able not to see, to feel the trauma or relive trauma when you see someone that looks like the one that has offended you is hard. Once you get past that, I feel like the country being divided, that becomes almost null and void, because just like me and you are talking, we've never even met in person, but we have an understanding, there's a love and there's a respect that is already generated there. We have to all stop looking at each other based on our color or our sex. We have to stop that, because at the end of the day, I can donate my liver to Stephanie. Stephanie can donate her heart to you. There is no there are no differences between us except these outwardly appearances. So if we can get past that and come together in unison, in unity, that to me is the biggest key. Just make a step together in public to set an example for those that don't know whether or not that it's possible for this country to come together. We step out together hand in hand and say, look, it's not that bad and it's okay, man. It's safe. Come here. Let's join together and learn from those people that you know nothing about, because you can learn something that can help lift the veil of confusion or unknowing about who they are, what their culture is, or what they believe in.
Right. And do you think the adversity that you went through when you were younger made you are who you are today?
Definitely, Steve. I mean, I was thrown as a kid overseas, and I didn't go. So I wasn't sent overseas with my parents. For those that are watching, I was sent there into a new country. My parents took me to a family member or a family friend, and I was placed under their watch. So basically, I had to learn a whole new world, a whole new culture. And there's a lot of traumatic experiences that came with that, a lot of fear that came with that. But in return, the one thing I did learn, there are people that came and loved on me. There are people that came and showed concern for me that were not related to me. Some of them were some of the best experience I had were from people that were not related to me. So that to me was engraved in my brain that you don't have to be family members. We don't have to look alike for me to love you, for me to accept you, to call you brother, call you sister. That doesn't mean anything to me anymore. I'm not going to allow, and I'm not going to perpetrate that negative energy or that negative thought process. If we can all stop recycling unnecessary sick jargon, then we can really heal mentally, because there's a bigger battle we're fighting here, and we have to survive that. And if we stay divided, we can't do that.
Perfectly said. And that's what I think, it comes back down to what all of us our mission is, to be able to, helping that mental health, helping people forgive, breaking that trauma, learning how to live a happy, fulfilled life, and let go of all that anger and animosity towards others. It is huge. And once we're able to get there and really get to have these conversations and sit down and have, be able to say, hey, we're the same. This is, and I think that's something actually, and I know we have to go, but I think the traveling, being able to go to other places and seeing things from a different perspective, seeing outside of yourself. I mean, that was one of the things that I noticed. My mom was from France, and we used to go to Europe, and we had exchange students from different countries, and being able to see other people's perspective and hear so many similarities made me realize, why are we all hating on each other? Those political people, they have nothing to do with what the normal person is talking about. So let's stop pretending like that is the be all end all, and let's start talking to each other. And I think these types of conversations need to be had more.
Wow. And the unfortunate thing is that this hour goes by so very, very fast. this is just the tip of the iceberg. So, I mean, first of all, Duke, you got this radio voice going on here. So we got to get you out there more with that voice because you can make a difference. I don't have that kind of voice, but you do. And I think that what you're bringing up, what do you want people to walk away from this interview real quick?
Well, what I want them to walk away with, if anything, I just want them to know that people care. Whatever it is that you're going through, please don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up about it. And understand there's more than one area of life where people are affected. If someone is dealing with their mental health, you got to remember it's the person and the family is also affected by it, and their friends are also affected by it. So we can't just think that only one person is hurting when one person is hurting. It's a ripple effect. So if don't feel bad that you feel ashamed about someone going through a mental crisis, right? But come and talk to someone about it, because at the end of the day, that person really doesn't have control of what they're doing. And you, on your end, you don't know how to process that, especially if you're not educated on it, like how Steve or Stephanie may be educated on it. So don't feel bad that you don't understand how to handle the situation. Trust me when I say it gets a lot easier when you talk about it to someone. If you can find a therapist, there are a lot of free therapist services out there that I know. And I'm sure Stephanie, Steve, throughout your career and even on the show, you help people out with that. I saw the little soap and bath thing, the sits thing, things like that. You never know what could be the cure to actually helping you get balance, control over your mental health. So please don't ever feel ashamed to go and seek for help. There's nothing embarrassing about it, nothing wrong with that.
Well, Duke, we're just about out of time. In 20 seconds or less, how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, you can get a hold of me on all social media platforms. MC King Duke. That's MCKINGDUKE. Also through Genius Gives, you can get in touch with me there, and whatever the case, maybe I get in touch with me through this show.
Yeah, well, this is just the beginning, my friend. So thank you so very much. God bless you.
My pleasure.
Keep that beautiful smile and spirit going. And thank you for saving Stephanie's husband Dave's life and doing what you do, man, because that's a beautiful family right there. And you're a beautiful guy. So thank you very much. God bless.
My pleasure. God bless. Thank you, guys.
That was awesome.
Yeah. You really know how to bring it. But we are just about out of time, Steph. So we will see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.